Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lauren, you may also call me Lo, and in today's video I'm going to be tier ranking all of the mysteries and thrillers that I read so far in 2022. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you're doing well, and let's get on into it. So I've made 5 tiers here. We've got top tier for all of my 5-star reads, or like close to 5-star reads. I'm gonna put 4.5s in there as well. Really good is for 4-star reads. All right is for 3-star reads. Meh is for 2-star reads. And I also have a not rating category because there are a couple books in here that I've finished, but I haven't had the chance to talk about in a wrap-up yet, so I'm not gonna be ranking them in this video. But you'll at least see what's coming up in my next wrap-up. So the first book on here is Only Daughter. And Only Daughter is a book that I read a little while ago. I don't remember who recommended it, but some booktuber was absolutely raving about this book, so I did pick it up. And I have to say, I did not enjoy this book. I felt like there was a lot of things that happened in this book where I was like, why didn't they just do this? Why didn't they just do this? Like, this would have made more sense. So it was kind of a frustrating book in that way. And because of the plot holes and just the way that the story worked, I ended up giving this one 2 stars, so we're not starting off with a bang, but there you go. Another thing about this video that I forgot to mention is that I had these in chronological order of when I read them, but this tier ranking website mixed them all up, so this is a totally random order of books. So unfortunately we got Only Daughter first. It is what it is. The next one is Allegedly, and Allegedly is, you'll see in this video, I read a few Tiffany D. Jackson books. These are all YA books, and I really like Tiffany D. Jackson. I really, really do. However, Allegedly was probably my least favorite of the 3 that I read. This one had me on the edge of my seat for the vast majority of the book. My complaints about this one were that it was a little bit too long, and the ending was infuriating. The ending was very infuriating. So I ended up giving this one 3 stars because it's a book that I would have given like 4.5, but for the ending, and I had to knock it down. I had to. So this is an all right. I am also going to rank these within the categories. So once I have multiple in categories, we'll be having lengthier discussions about where they go. The next book is Monday's Not Coming. This is also a Tiffany D. Jackson book, and this one was really, really phenomenal. I wouldn't say it's a top tier, but it definitely goes in the really good category. This one initially read really young, and I was like, I don't know if this is for me, but it's so dark, and it gets so just heart-wrenchingly difficult to read. And it was just really, really good. If you haven't picked up Monday's Not Coming, I definitely think you should. It's so good. Monday's Not Coming is also the first Tiffany D. Jackson book that I read, and it's kind of the book that made me like fall in love with Tiffany D. Jackson as an author. Her books are very kind of grim and dark, but they're YA thrillers, and I think she's just extremely talented, and she's kind of doing something that no one else is doing as far as what I've read. The next one I read as an ARC, and I was really excited about it. This is Stay Awake by Megan Golden. Last year I read The Night Swim by Megan Golden, and I gave that 4 stars. I thought it was great, and so when I heard that Megan Golden was coming out with a new book, I really wanted to read it, and I applied to get the ARC for this one on NetGalley, and I got it, so I was so excited. I did a full like dedicated reading vlog for this book, and it ended up being not good. This is one of those like sort of loopy books it's a book with a loop. So the main character has like amnesia, and so she wakes up every day and has like the exact same thoughts and it like the exact same kind of like thought patterns, and after a while it just gets so repetitive and so boring. So this one definitely also goes into the meh category. I was so incredibly disappointed by that one. That was such a bummer. The next one is The Maidens. I read this month in November, And so I'm not going to put it in any category because I haven't had a chance to talk about it in a wrap-up yet. But stay tuned for my November wrap-up. It should be the video that comes out right after this, and I will talk about this book and a couple of other ones on this list in that video. The next one is The Maid by Nita Prose. This is more of a mystery. I wouldn't say it's a thriller, and I would say that the rest of the ones on here are more thriller-y than this one. This one's more like a murder mystery. And this one, I ended up giving a 3-star to. And the reason for that is mostly that it's just a little bit, I don't know. I think that the structure of it was kind of interesting because our main character is neurodivergent, and it feels like everyone in the book's kind of taking advantage of her, and the reader kind of understands more of what's going on and like who in the book is kind of like fishy and is doing weird stuff, but our main character is like oblivious of that. So I don't know, and it felt like everyone was taking advantage of our main character, and it gave me more of like, I want to protect this character. I feel really, really sorry for this character. And I guess I was feeling a lot more of that than I was like intrigued about the mystery of this book, if that makes sense. In the end, it was fun. Like, all right, I'd recommend it if it sounds good to you. They're not books that I like loved, but they're not books that I thought were like bad either. That is definitely the meh category. So there you go. The next one is Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. I think this is the last Tiffany D. Jackson book on this list, and this one was so good. This is another really good book. Again, I'm a big fan of Tiffany D. Jackson, and this one was so intense. So intense, and just like really good. Like this one and Monday's Not Coming, I was just so invested in the main character. And anything that happened to the main character that was bad, I felt like it was happening to me. So both of those, phenomenal, highly recommend. The next one is Leave the World Behind by Rumaan Alam. And this one's going directly into the meh category. This one, I don't even know. I mean, it's technically a thriller for sure, but it's meant to just like confuse the reader. Like, I don't know what the point of this was. There's absolutely no resolution. You never find out what's going on. It was incredibly both frustrating and like ultimately pointless read for me. I hated this book. There's also a lot of like graphic sex scenes in this book from what I remember, and like lots of descriptions of like genitals and stuff where I was like, why are we doing this? Why? No. I just didn't like it. Okay. Next is When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. This is a book that I feel like was so popular like many years ago, and I picked it up late. Like I'd wanted to read it for years, and I finally did it. And this one was just all right for me. It kind of centers around like sort of a romance, which is kind of weird. There's like a romance that kind of develops in this book, and that was just kind of like a weird feeling in a thriller for me. It just didn't quite work. And ultimately, I think the big like plot twist, the big reveal in this book was like so far out of left field that I was like, are you joking? Yeah. So that was a 3, unfortunately. But again, like I wouldn't dissuade you from reading any 3 stars. Like that's purely, I was entertained. I didn't love it. You might. Okay. Next is a book that I really enjoyed. So this was Behind Closed Doors. And this one was really good. This one was really good. I can't really remember what the plot twist in this one was, but what I can tell you is that I read it really fast and I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. And honestly, that's what makes a really good thriller for me. As long as the plot twist isn't so crazy that I'm like, what? In a bad way, then I usually really like it. So this one was really good. Highly recommend it. I don't think I've heard a lot of people talk about that book, but again, I really, really like it. And there are some other ones on this list that I don't feel like anyone is talking about, so I'm excited to tier rank those for all of you. The next one is Firekeeper's Daughter. This is another YA thriller, And I just read this one also in November, so I'm going to stick this in the no rating. So sorry. Again, check out my wrap up. It'll be the next video and I will talk about this one extensively. The next one is a book that I really, really enjoyed. So this one I gave a 4.5, and that's probably the maximum that I would give a thriller. So I'm gonna stick this one in top tier. And like, spoiler, this is probably the only one in top tier. This is a very controversial book. I feel like I've seen so many horrible reviews and I've heard so many people like rant about how much they hate this book. I really liked it. I think that for me, like, most thrillers are not very deep and don't really have any like social commentary or commentary about like people and their behaviors and actions as much as like literary fiction or just regular fiction, even fantasy books. Have, like any other genre. I feel like often thrillers are just like trauma, what's gonna happen, some big reveal, but there's not a lot going on like below the surface, if that makes sense. And this book had a lot of commentary for me about like loneliness and like what people will do to maintain social status, and just a lot of commentary about like human nature, and I really appreciated that. And in that way, I think this is better than like the average thriller. Like, I stand by that. I think it's a lot better than the average thriller. With that said, I think that that's like a relatively unpopular opinion, or at least I've seen people who love this book, but I've also seen, I feel like, more people hate this book. And it's that kind of book. Like, it's a very like, you love it or you hate it. I loved it. I highly recommend it. If you haven't read it, I would read it. But fair warning, it's got super mixed reviews. The next book is The Younger Wife by Sally Hepworth. Sally Hepworth is an author that I've read from before, prior to reading this book. She has another book called The Mother-in-Law that I read, and I believe I gave that 3 stars, but I decided to go for this one. I actually got it as an ARC on NetGalley, and this one I thought was really great. Like, this one, I was all in. I thought it had a really realistic plot twist. I thought that it did a really good job of, I guess, in this book we're following 3 women, and it did a really good job of like giving each woman a vastly different personality and vastly different ways of behaving, I guess. And I just thought that the characterization of all 3 women was so good, and I like really was rooting for all of them, even though they weren't really on the same team. I thought it was great. I had a great time, and this is another one that I feel like nobody talks about. Like, I've literally heard 0 people talk about this book, but it's great. Highly recommend it. Okay, next is another book that I read in November, No Exit by Taylor Adams. This is going into no rating. You'll get a rating soon, but not in this video. The next one is Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. This one I honestly had really low expectations for. I read another book by Celeste Ng that I can't remember the name of. The Last Time I Lied? Not sure. I will pop the cover in right now. And I think I gave that one 3 stars. So I had sort of low expectations for Little Fires Everywhere, but I ended up really liking it. Like, I thought it was really great. This one also, I think, just had more to it than the average thriller. I'm not going to put it in top tier because it really wasn't. I don't remember what I didn't like about it, but I gave this one 4 stars. And I thought this one was really good. It definitely makes you feel for and like the characters more than a lot of thrillers. So that's where that one ended up. Next is The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead. So Ashley Winstead also wrote In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, so I was really excited to read this one, and this is Ashley Winstead's like brand new release, and I loved it. It was a little long compared to a lot of thrillers, and I thought it dragged a little bit. I think that's why I didn't give it like a 4.5, but it was really good. It was really, really solid. Highly recommend it. Next is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This is another YA thriller, and this one goes directly into All Right. It was okay. It was kind of hard to believe a lot of the stuff that was going on in it, and the whole concept of this book kind of irked me. So I ended up giving it 3. It was entertaining, it was fun. Am I gonna continue the series? Probably not. And last but not least, we have Ace of Spades. This is another YA thriller. There are actually more YA books in here than I thought. This one was really good. This one was really, really, really good. I loved it. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. Highly, highly recommend that one. And I just realized that I forgot to organize these by, like, within the categories. So I'm gonna go through and do that now. Ooh, this is so hard. Okay. Okay, between these two Tiffany D. Jackson books, I think I liked Grown a little bit more. Oh no, is it? Okay, there we go. Then Monday's Not Coming. Behind Closed Doors, I think I'd leave here as far as these 3 go. The Younger Wife. Which one was better between Behind Closed Doors and The Younger Wife? I don't know, I kind of want to leave them like that for now. Little Fires Everywhere. I think I'd put like here. Ooh, here. And then The Last Housewife. Huh. I think I'd put The Last Housewife like here. And then Ace of Spades. Maybe there? It's tough. The one that's tough for me is between Behind Closed Doors and The Younger Wife. I think I'm gonna leave it. I'm comfortable and happy with this order. This one, am I happy with that? I think so. Okay, yeah, I think that that's that. Ooh. Yeah, I think that's that. Meh. These were all so bad. Okay. Okay, the best of the 3 was probably Only Daughter, followed by Stay Awake, followed by Leave the World Behind. I like this order. Leave the World Behind was so bad, but some people loved it. If Darian watches this video, she's gonna be like, what did you do? She loved that book. So that's that. And then no rating, I'm not gonna order those for you. Actually, should I? Is that fun? Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be No Exit first, followed by Firekeeper's Daughter, followed by The Maidens. There you go. That is my tier ranking. As you can see, I really liked most of them. I highly recommend In My Dreams I Hold a Knife and all the ones I put in the really good category. If you've read any of these books, let me know if you agree or disagree with my ranking. If I put a book that you love in the meh category, I'm so sorry. It's just my personal opinion. Your personal opinion is super valid as well. And yeah, I'm excited to see you in my wrap up when I talk about No Exit, Firekeeper's Daughter, and The Maidens. So that brings us to the end of this video. If you're new to my channel, please consider liking this video and subscribing. I put 1 bookish video out every week, sometimes 2, if I can pull it off. If you're still here, thank you so much for being here. I always really appreciate it, and I will see you next time.